All right, this is part two. I forgot to delete some videos before I started. This is part two of that video I was doing. I started to talk about Trump and Jesus, and so I asked, and I'll try to keep this short and sweet. I asked ChatGPT. This is what I said. Let's relate this to what's happening now with Trump and his followers. Clearly, many are willing to overlook let's say, the contradictions out of cognitive dissonance. Some are choosing to stay loyal to Trump regardless of what is staring or glaring them right in the face. Others, though, are choosing to exit the movement. Jesus might say, "You were never part of the group to begin with if you would leave me now." So I asked ChatGPT what his thoughts are. Clearly, the MAGA movement, as many have pointed out, it seems to be a cult. It seems to be a cult of personality, and the Jesus movement, in many ways, appears to be that in some respects as well. And it's kind of like, this thing about cognitive dissonance is that you may see these things, they may be staring you right in the face, like the contradictions, right? The contradictions in what Trump says, the lies that he says, someone could point them out to you, and you would be willing to overlook them. And some obviously are. Maybe about 30% of the United States is loyal to Trump no matter what. Now, ChatGPT has some very interesting things to say about this. Just as early Christians reconciled conflicting gospel narratives in the name of greater truth, many Trump supporters today do something similar. They hold on to the idea of Trump, the savior, the outsider, the fighter, even when the facts contradict the narrative. Contradictions become irrelevant or are reframed as tests of faith, persecution, or media lies, like fake news, right? This is the psychology of cognitive dissonance in action. When the reality conflicts with the belief often wins, especially if it's tied to identity. Then it goes into this whole thing about the power of identity. I'll try to keep this short and sweet, but this is a very important issue, which is that if you identify with this movement, if you identify as being a Trump supporter, being a MAGA person, it's going to be very difficult for you to ever disidentify. And it's the same with any cult. Any religious group or cult has the same thing happening, right? Deprogramming. It would be very difficult to be deprogrammed from this. Once you get into it, once you start to identify with it, whether it's religious devotion or political loyalty, these systems aren't just intellectual, they are tribal and emotional. Leaving Trump for many is like leaving Jesus or leaving a church. It feels like betrayal, exile, or even damnation, not just a shift in opinion. That's why Trump can say something totally self-incriminating, and yet some followers double down instead of turning away. Similarly, the early church had to contend with disillusioned followers, doubting Thomases, fringe sects who saw things differently, like the Gnostics, excommunications and declarations like, "They went out from us, but they were not of us," which is from John. This is almost exactly what we hear in MAGA circles now. If you left Trump, you were never a real patriot to begin with. Faith versus facts. In both cases, religious and political, the core belief isn't falsifiable because it's not based on logic alone. For Trump's devoted base, the narrative goes, he's under attack because he's doing the right thing. Every indictment is proof of a corrupt system. Every flaw is either exaggerated or secretly part of the plan. For early Christians, similar logic applied. Jesus wasn't defeated by the cross, it was all part of God's plan. The discrepancies in the Gospels aren't contradictions, they're layers of a deeper truth. Doubt is weakness, faith is strength. This mindset makes correction nearly impossible without also undoing someone's core identity, which is terrifying for most people. This might shut off. I got my battery's low too. Let's just go to the next part. Faith versus facts. In both cases, religious and political, the core belief isn't falsifiable because it's not based on logic alone. For Trump's devoted base, the narrative goes, he's under attack because he's doing the right thing. Every indictment is proof of, did I read that? Exits and expulsions. But just as in the early church, there are modern apostates, former trust allies turning critics. For example, Liz Cheney, Cassidy Hutchinson right now, maybe even like Nick Fuentes is one. What's his name? Forgetting his name, sorry. Alex Jones, another one. Former Christians turned secular. People who say, I still believe in the ideals, but I don't follow the leader anymore. And just as with Jesus, some of Trump's defenders might say, if you would leave him now, you never believed in him to begin with. But is that true? Or is it just a way to avoid dealing with betrayal or complexity? Jesus might say, if Jesus were weighing in on this today, let's imagine him in his parable spinning style. He might say, a man built his house on a golden image, and though it glittered in the sun, it crumbled in the storm. But when he saw the cracks, he patched them with lies. And when the lies failed, he called the wind the enemy. That's funny. This is actually a good, great modern parable here. Or more directly, many will come in my name saying, Lord, Lord, but I will say, I never knew you. And perhaps, just perhaps, he might flip the script. Blessed are those who question and still seek the truth, for theirs is the kingdom of conscience. Final thought, the real issue, whether it's religion or politics, is not disagreement or even contradiction. It's when devotion becomes detachment from reality, when leaders become idols and truth becomes negotiable. The hope is that we all stay open to truth, even if it leads us somewhere unexpected or uncomfortable. Okay, I hope this helps. I thought this was very good, what ChatGPT put together right there. I hope you find it helpful too. Before my phone shuts off, any final thoughts on this? Put my own 2 cents in here to it. I think, it comes down to, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. I think we can all agree upon that. And now, I think it's becoming clear by the day that, just in the case of Trump, if you are willing to really look at the truth, regardless of where it might lead you, I think it's pretty clear that Trump has something to hide, and he's making up stories in order to hide that, right? This whole idea of the Democrats like Obama and Comey and Clinton making this hoax, right? That the whole Epstein thing is a hoax that they created. That itself is a outrageous lie that I hope no one would hope that no one would believe, but obviously that they do, because of these identity issues that we're talking about here, the cognitive dissonance, the faith-based reasoning versus logic-based, reality-based reasoning. All of these come into play, and I think when it comes to the Gospels as well, we can't just look at them through the eyes of faith and devotion, but we also have to, if God did, let's put it this way, we have a brain probably for a reason to think, we have the reasoning ability that we do probably for a reason, right? So let's not, I think faith has to be reasonable to some extent. If it's not reasonable, then that's where we need to, take a hard look at what our faith is. So anyway, hope this was helpful. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'll try to put this all in the description too. Okay, thanks. See ya.